Ari Lewis Show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ari Lewis Show here on Israel Sports and News Radio. Thank you for joining us. At any time, you can email the program, arilewishow@hotmail.com, or you can email the station, Israel Sports and News Radio @gmail.com. What is it like to be a weatherman, and what is the weather like in Arizona currently? Israel is pretty nice. We'll see what it's like in Arizona. On the line right now, good friend of mine, back to the program. It's been way too long. He's a weatherman for CBS affiliate out in Phoenix, Arizona. Back to the program, my friend Ian Schwartz. Ian, how you doing out there?
Hey, great to be with you, man. Long time is right. Years. I couldn't even tell you.
I think it was 5 years ago, and back then, you know, we were like quasi-famous, but now both of us are like really famous.
I know, but my pay hasn't changed, so I don't know. We have terrible agents or something.
You got to get like a Jewish business manager to help you get paid more, I guess.
Yeah, and actually, I took a few classes, a meteorology program, so I've now upgraded my title. I'm now a big boy weatherman. I'm now a meteorologist, believe it or not.
Yeah, I saw on your Facebook you actually studied this at Mississippi State University, so it must be pretty complex.
Well, don't give me too much credit. I started out in journalism. I went to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University, and so I kind of cut my teeth and got started, on the reporting side, doing, the serious journalism stuff like you do. You're at the Post now, is that correct?
Yeah, Jerusalem Post, and I've done, written for, did things for Rutsheva and Times of Israel. Yeah, so we're both a journalist. That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Haaretz, I think it's a big paper out there.
Yep.
So I did that for a while, and I was in Illinois, and they said, "Hey, can you do weather? Can you fill in?" They actually needed a guy to work on Christmas, and well, what do you know?
A guy named Schwartz somehow can work on Christmas.
Somehow I was available. I wasn't doing anything, so I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to. I'd give it a shot." And so I filled in, and then my next job, I filled in a little bit more, and then I started doing weekends, and I kind of had a decision to make. I said, well, do I want to keep doing the reporting, or do I want to get into weather? Weather on a whole isn't as, I don't want to say hard, but it isn't as stressful. It can be, but as a reporter, you're knocking on doors, you're interviewing people who lost loved ones, days after they've lost their loved ones. I've had people sick dogs on me. I've had people threaten my life as a reporter, all sorts of crazy stuff. I've been, wildfires, a fire coming over a ridge and you got to move. And, so reporting can be a bit more stressful. On the whole, weather teams can be a little less stressful, but, it still has a stressful moment. Weather tends to pay more. So I decided, well, I got to get into weather more. So what you do in TV is, you get an advanced degree. Mississippi State has a program that a lot of television broadcasters do. It's a distance learning program. It allows you to take classes while you're still doing television. So you don't have to kind of stop everything you're doing and then go to school again. So it's a 3-year program. It's not called a master's. They call it a certificate. It's the same amount of credit as a master's, but whatever. So it's a secondary degree. And, so I finished that up, and I was in Sacramento doing reporting and meteorology, and now I'm doing full-time meteorology in Phoenix, the place where you once lived.
That's right, my hometown. I got to ask you, Mississippi education, those two words don't always go together. No offense to our Mississippi listeners. What was it like being in Mississippi, especially again with the last name Schwartz?
Well, luckily it is an online program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but part of the program, you do have to visit the campus, and I will say Mississippi was, granted I was only there 3 days, they were a kind bunch. It was, it was humid as hell, but it was pleasant. Good food, good soul food. Not really if you're trying to diet, a little fatty, but it was a pleasant experience. So thank you to the fine folks of Mississippi, and if you got any listeners in Mississippi.
Yes, nice. So all the hate mail from Mississippi can just go directly to me and not to Ian because he complimented you folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what's interesting is a weatherman, let's say in New York, you got up and down snowy days and your sunny days or whatever, but especially in the summer, I mean, you're going in Arizona, today's hot as hell, today's hot as hell, today's hot as hell. I mean, there's not a lot of diversity in the summer, right? I mean, what are you going to do during that time?
I take a lot of naps. No, you have to make it interesting. They do polling. It's not called polling, but they do focus groups, and they ask people, why do you watch the weather? Well, first of all, they like a person delivering it. Yes, your phone can give you the weather. By the way, that's not always accurate because that's sometimes just a wholesale forecast cranked out by a computer, in Atlanta, and it doesn't necessarily know, specific climatological variations. Sometimes there's, very regional wind that can impact, it can blow the rain or snow to one side of the city. That was happened in Albuquerque. There's a specific wind that would surface. So your phone would say, yeah, it's going to snow in Albuquerque. And if you lived in downtown, it would barely snow because this very local wind, which your phone didn't tell you about, would kick in and it'd blow all the snow to the west side. So that's my bit on bashing your phone. Go watch me instead. But no, people they like a personal touch. They like a personality. They like a guy with great hair to deliver the weather. But yes, some days it can be boring, and you have to try to make it interesting with other stuff. You talk about climatological norms, or okay, well, how many days in a row have we seen 100? Is that common? What is the longest stretch of 105 degrees? So you try to get extra information to make it interesting, or you show a lot of beautiful pictures of sunsets. That always can kill the time too. But the monsoon season kicks in here. It's similar to the Indian monsoon with the Indian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal. So any of your listeners are familiar with that territory. Similar concept. You get massive heating over the Tibetan Plateau. That warm air rises, and you get moist air racing in right through the bay there, and then you get convective thunderstorms. Very specific weather setup, and that happens in India, in Phoenix as well. It happens over the Mexican plateau. So there's a stretch where it can be boring, but then the monsoon kicks in, and there's thunderstorms every day almost, and that kind of changes. But you got to try to make it interesting. You got to do your best.
Indeed. Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show on Israel Sports News Radio, joined by meteorologists from CBS affiliate in Phoenix, Ian Schwartz. Now, Ian, I ask a lot of reporters, do they have a reporter they look up to, or broadcaster they look up to? So is there a weatherman out there that you watched and looked up to, and you kind of adopt some of his style?
I have always liked the guy who I watched growing up. His name is Royal Norman. He's probably been doing the weather here for, 25 years. And he's just a very calm, collected guy. I don't like people that are, way over the top, like, they're big-time spazzes. Because then I always want someone to tell me the straight juice. Like, don't BS me. Tell me what's going on. If you're selling me a car, you're doing something, I already know a little bit, so don't try to pull some crap on me.
Right.
So tell me the weather. Don't make it out to be something it isn't and try to pump up a thunderstorm, because I'm going to be disappointed. There's actually a term for it. It's called anticipantment. And it's when you really plug something.
Wait, is that a real term, or did you make that up?
It sounds made up, but it's a television term.
Okay.
It's an actual real thing. It's not in the dictionary. Merriam-Webster, I don't think they have it. But
I mean, my English has gone down a little bit since being in Israel, but I don't think it was that bad. But okay, so it is a legitimate word for our folks listening.
Yes, absolutely. They could. It's probably somewhere on the internet.
Okay.
But I haven't watched a ton of Israeli TV, but the thing they do, it's called a tease, where they say, coming up, you won't believe blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
sure.
Well, you need to deliver on that you won't believe. If you watch throughout the broadcast and you get to the end and whatever they were teasing ends up to be nothing, the viewer's going to be pissed off, and that's called disappointment. They were anticipating a certain thing, but they ended up being disappointed. So there's disappointment in the end. If you do that enough times, the viewer isn't going to fall for it anymore, and they're not going to stick around to watch the thing at the end, because the idea is to keep you throughout the broadcast. So they say, I mean, this is an extreme example. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the one thing in your kitchen that'll kill you right now. That's an extreme, crazy example. But you're at home and you're going, oh my God, what is it? I better stick around.
Right. Don't touch anything during the commercial break, kids. We got to wait 3 minutes to find out what's going on.
Right. Coming up, exploding toothpaste. Is it in your cabinet? We'll tell you at 5:30. But first, the weather. So if you talk about a thunderstorm and you say, oh my God, this thing's going to be a blockbuster. We're going to get tons of rain. This is great. And then it's a dud. Weathermen, meteorologists. I mean, people always say, oh, you guys are wrong all the time anyway. That's why, maybe because of some of those guys that are really blowing it up to be something it isn't.
Right, okay. So you don't want to let anybody down. You just kind of want to be a straight shooter.
Straight shooter, and I always, what's the word? You under-promise and over-deliver,
Yes, right.
Always, and that's a good way to do it in life, too.
It is. Yes, I've heard that once, twice at business meetings. That's what they want to offer me. Now, when you do your broadcast, is it generally live or you tape to live? Tell us a bit about that aspect.
It's always live. So I do the morning. So we're on at the crack of dawn. We go on at 4:30 a.m. That's Mountain Time, so the same time as Denver. And yeah, 4:30, very early. So we go from 4:30 to 7, and I pretty much have a weather hit, as we call it, which means I'm in front of the green screen and I'm doing the weather. I have one of those, every half hour or so. We do that from 4:30 to 7, and then I get a break, and we do these little mini cut-ins. So we break in. National news is going on, and they say, now look at your local weather. We give a little, 2-minute update, and then I get a break, which I'm on now, and then I do the noon broadcast, and then I'm done at 12:30. So it's an early shift, yeah. But yesterday at 1 o'clock, I was at a spring training baseball game. It's a great shift because you get up early, but you have your whole day ahead of you.
Right.
And it is live. Most of the time, it is live. So
Is that all nerve-wracking? I mean, to be, I go on live with the radio, but no one can see my face. If I need to sneeze or cough or do whatever, fart, whatever, no one can see that. I just press the button. Everyone can see what you're doing at all times when you're on. So what is that like? Well,
I think the key is to be, self-deprecating, and if you screw up, you just kind of keep going, or it depends. If it's a little screw up, you just kind of keep going and hope they didn't notice. Obviously, if it's a massive screw up, then you have to address it, But I make fun of myself, so that helps. But I don't know. I've been doing this for 8 years or so, and people always say, "Well, what's it like being on TV?" And to me, it's kind of like when you hear people describe a tornado, they say, "Well, I don't know. There was some flashing lights and some noises, and when I woke up, I was laying on the ground." That's kind of how I do TV. I look at the camera and I start talking for a bit, and then before I know it's over. So I couldn't tell like someone, if there was a young person getting into television, there wouldn't be like a specific method I would recommend. I would say be yourself. Because if you're phony, I think people can see through that. And I think with me, I think my style is just, tell the weather how. If you were to watch me, I would sound a lot like I am now. I mean, I'm a little more casual with you on the phone. I don't say crap on TV. But people want to hear the weather like it's being delivered, from their neighbor. Unless their neighbor is like a drunk who slurs his words all the time, I suppose.
Right. You can't understand, that way, yeah.
It's not nerve-wracking, and I don't know why that is. I'm a natural, Ari.
You are. You're indeed natural. You were born to do this. All right, but with that being said, you've done this for 8 years. Tell the audience your biggest screw-up.
Oh, man. I've never made YouTube in a sensational way. Like, I've never said the F word on TV or anything like that. Boy, biggest screw-up. Once the computer messed up. And
I'll blame the computer now, I see. Okay.
Yes, exactly. A good meteorologist always blames his computer or her computer. Boy, biggest screw up. I think I had this one time where for some reason I couldn't talk. It was like I was having a stroke on air. I just started trying to talk, and God forbid, thank God I wasn't having a medical episode. But I mean, I just kept going. Like the words just would not form. And, finally I started talking, and, my co-anchor, we started laughing. But it seemed like an eternity. It was probably, 7 seconds. But in television, that's a long time of, dead air or a guy mumbling. I haven't fallen down. I've kind of tripped off air, but nobody saw it. I mean, it made a noise, and we laughed about it, but you could hear like a kind of a rustling around and something going on. I've been lucky. Luckily in my career, I've not had any, disastrous screw-ups.
All right, but are you ever paranoid that someone will pull like an anchorman stunt to put something in your teleprompter that causes you to say the F word, and they laugh at you, and then you have to YouTube?
Well, that's the beauty of weather. There is no teleprompter, so it is all ad-lib.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes. So, I mean, I have my cue cards are essentially, my teleprompter is essentially the weather slide. So when you're watching the forecast and they have the numbers and they have the satellite and the radar, or we call it Futurecast is the forecast model. I'm not sure what they call it in Israel, whatever branding they have. But, it's essentially a PowerPoint presentation. So, I mean, I'm essentially doing a live PowerPoint presentation with, 10 to 12 weather slides. So, that's my cheat sheet because I'm looking at the temperatures and I'm just talking about, what I'm seeing. And, I create a weather story in advance. I put the slides in order and I say, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. But no, they can try, but they won't succeed.
If you're ad-libbing, they can't get you at all.
No,
right?
Unless they put like a scorpion down my pants or something. Being in the desert, I suppose that would be the likely gag.
Right. Or they could change the picture on you, right? That's something maybe they could do.
Yeah, they could put something behind me, I suppose, and instead of the weather map, something, an axe murderer behind me, or now that when I get back to the office, I'm going to look at Israeli weather because I'm kind of curious. I imagine it's quite similar, right?
Well, we have a very interesting thing. Basically, there's a 6-month period where it rains, and we're actually supposed to like pray for rain during that time, and then a 6-month period where it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
And,
so for the farmers, you're praying for the farmers.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So after Passover, up until basically the high holidays, we don't want rain, and we won't rain the rest of the time. And then there's this the Kinneret's this place that has basically a red line. If we're below the red line, we're in trouble. We're over the red line, we're doing good. And everyone's always focused on how much water's in the Kinneret. That's my understanding.
How much water in the canal?
No, the Kinneret. Like the Kinneret's this place in northern Israel that's where the main place of water reservoir, if you will. That's where everyone looks at.
great. It's the reservoir. Okay, wonderful. Now you guys have, I think they still do it. Desalinization plants. Is that still? And
yeah, because we're
kind of the supplement, not the main source. I wonder.
Well, we're always it seems like we're always in a drought. So we have those plants that if we have bad water years, just go out to the Red Sea or whatever it is we need to go to. Tel Aviv Beach, whatever, Dead Sea, wherever we need, and pull the water out and take the salt out and do that. And we've had less rain now than we did 50 years ago, but we have more people now, so we have to have a way. I feel like Bibi said this, I think, to the UN or talk about Israel's advancement in water. But what's interesting, the most interesting about Israel is it could be freezing on a Monday and Tuesday it'll be very warm. That happens all the time.
Right. And then less about the climate, but is the weather presented in a very similar fashion? They're meteorologists, do they call them a certain thing? In England, they're called weather presenters.
Well, I'm not sure the best translation. You probably say weather presenters is the best translation to English, but basically they're predicting things, but a lot of people, if they don't own televisions or watch it, they simply go to their iPhone. I mean, they don't have that presentation that they get from you, but they kind of look. It's kind of like also goes by rumors. You'll walk outside and someone say, "Hey, it's going to snow in 7 days." Huh?
Oh.
And then you gotta look it up. It's like it's like all this blabber like Yenta stuff that you can go outside and people will tell you what's going to happen.
Oh, so you don't have meteorologists, you have Yentas.
We have Yentas, yeah. They should make a Yentaologist. I'm just talking about what's going on.
Maybe when I retire, I'll go to Israel and be a professional Yenta.
Yeah, just walk. Hey, it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. It's gonna snow. It's not gonna snow.
Did you hear?
Did you hear? You need to change your clothes, and you need to eat better, and you need to floss, or and it's gonna rain tomorrow. Yeah, we got our Yentas.
I think I'm perfect because I'm always sending the suit back. It is never hot enough. so I'm halfway there.
All right. Again, this is the Ari Lewis Show on Israel Sports and News Radio, joined by meteorologist for CBS affiliate out in Phoenix, Arizona, Ian Schwartz. Phoenix right now is the 6th biggest city in the United States. Is that correct?
Yes. Now, I always get confused. I should probably know this. That is, that has to be population, not landmass. I mean, obviously,
right.
Very, very spread out city. But I think there's, oh boy, I don't want to quote it wrong.
Well, I Googled the other. Wait, how many million?
3 to 6. I think 6 is too high, but it's at least 3.
Well, I thought it was about 6 because, when I was there 10 years ago, it was about 5 million.
Okay.
And so is that at all different? Because, people are, when I tell people I'm from Phoenix, they're like, are there any Jews out there? I'm like, about 150,000. Phoenix is the 6th biggest city in the United States. Phoenix doesn't have that feeling as a big city, right? It's more of Charles Barkley says it's a town and not a city. What are your thoughts about that? Is that a good analysis?
Well, yeah, because I think it is inextricably tied to Arizona. So Arizona is thought of a very big desert, wasteland, depends who you ask, although we have lush forest and a lot of natural beauty here. So I think people kind of think Phoenix to be small because it's in the middle of a fairly, I say desolate, I mean population. There's not a lot of big cities in Arizona. There's Phoenix and there's Tucson, but it's a very spread out city. Urban sprawl is very big here, and the city is spread. I used to know the square mileage. It's a lot.
Right.
So you go to New York City. Obviously, it is a chunk of city, very compact. Even San Francisco the same way, L.A. So I think it's because it's spread out. Maybe it gets that small town feel, but there is a skyline. The skyline is growing. We have a light rail now. That makes me sound small. It sounds like a small town. Like, we got a light rail.
Well, it's funny you say that because Jerusalem got its light rail only 4 years ago. Or no, excuse me, almost 5 years ago. So it's kind of similar. in that respect.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah. Because I'll tell people from New York, we just got our light rail. They're like, okay, well, we've had one of those, we've had the subway about 40, 50 years, so congratulations.
Yeah, right. You want a cookie? But yeah, I'm not sure. I think it is. I think it has to do with Arizona in general, because it's in a fairly, and not just Arizona. I mean, southern Utah, there's not a lot of people. New Mexico, our state neighboring to the east, there's not a lot of people there. So I think, it's like, here's an example. You made $100,000 payment to your loan. Well, that sounds like a lot of money, but if your loan is for $20 million, it doesn't really sound that big. So yes, Phoenix has 3 to 6 million people, but it's in the middle of 3 states that have very few people compared to New York City, which is the size of a baguette, and it has
think about 8 million in Manhattan or something like that, 8 to 10.
Yes, on a strip of bread, on a breadstick.
Right.
I think that Phoenix, the region, is really what kind of makes it seem a lot smaller.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and last question before we let you go. It's been so much fun to have you back on, but you're a big TV star now, CBS in Phoenix. Does anyone ever bring up this certain character you did in college that used to give up parking tickets for no reason?
Some of my friends who live here, they do. The gentleman already speaks of, his name is Bill Bipkiss. Me, you, Eli, Kluger, we all kind of hang around the television student TV station. ASU, the college campus, is notorious for giving out a lot of tickets, and Bill Bipkiss was one of the parking enforcement guys, as a meter maid, and I dressed up as one of them, and we did a little skit. I don't know if it's on YouTube anymore. I'll have to check. Once in a while, I get asked about that guy. He was a real character indeed.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, that was it was pretty entertaining. By the way, they took it off YouTube as of now, but if it gets back out, please let me know. It was very enjoyable. And so people out there in Phoenix could see you on CBS, but it's not online at all, right? There's no people in Israel can't watch it.
I'll send you the link in the Facebook, but
okay.
Google KPHO live stream.
Oh, nice.
You should find something. KPHO, that's our call letters, CBS 5, or they can go to, if you're interested in Arizona weather or what Arizona looks like. I tweet out a lot of pictures. My Twitter handle is @Schwartz TV. So that's how you find me on Twitter, @Schwartz TV. And I got the Facebook page and all that jazz. So you can,
nice.
You want to know if it's raining in Phoenix, or if you ever come here and you need a forecast, don't hesitate to email me. I'll just have to make the conversions from Celsius to Fahrenheit. You guys, yeah, okay. So, all right, so I'll just have to
that always. That it's still to this day. I've been here 8 years. I'm like, all right, times 2 plus 32. Times 2 plus 32. But I always do it in my mind. Arizona's got very beautiful scenic photos, so people should check that out. Check the weather. Ian is scenic. You can watch him too. See, there you go. He's a good-looking man. Good-looking man with a suit and tie. And when you go back to work, you can tell him you were on a radio station in Israel, and you're going to be a Yentaologist after your career in America's over. Come out to Israel, do it.
Yentaologist, that's great. You got to coin that.
All right, man. Great catching up. Congratulations on the great success. And it's been too long, but it was great to have you on. And I look forward to seeing more of your stuff, man. It's really good to hear you're doing well.
You too. Same to you. Mazel tov on everything you're doing. Stay in touch. And hey, I'd love to come on again. Just let me know. And always, if you come back here, be sure to hit me up.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, thanks so much. Peace, brother. We'll speak soon.
Okay, take care.
All right, you too. Be well. Bye-bye.